Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Zach Thomas, and I manage the commercial fishing license buyback programs. Of course, one of which is the Oyster buyback program, which I'll be speaking with you about tonight. This evening during the webinar, I'll give an overview of the Oyster buyback program and an overview of this specific round, and then I'll give a rundown of the timeline and the documentation that's required in this specific buyback round. Regarding a timeline for this round, as I said before, applications went out on March 13th. And then, of course, we're having this webinar tonight. At the end of the presentation, I'll touch on some in-person workshops that we'll be offering next week for those who couldn't make the webinar this evening and who might be interested in an in-person information workshop. The application period for this particular round ends on May 15th. And shortly after that, probably around late May or early June, letters to participating applicants will go out. And then later, in the latter part of June, we will set up times. I should say applicants will be notified via letter to set up a time to go into a coastal fisheries field office to sign their contracts and hand over their licenses and their boat plates. And then hopefully by late July or early August, payments will be sent out. Since the beginning of the program, we've had 9 rounds since July of 2018. In that time, the first 8 rounds, we received 78 bids. Of those 78 bids, we've purchased 3 licenses, as I said, in the first 8 rounds for an average price of about $7,200. In round 9, which occurred in March of last year, we received 115 bids, but at that time we offered a fixed rate of $30,000 per license, as opposed to a reverse bid process in which an applicant puts down a price at which they're willing to sell their license. We ended up purchasing 112 of those 115 licenses last year. And as mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, this round opened, or applications went out on March 13th. Essentially, license holders were notified via mail. Again, this round is offering a fixed rate of $30,000 per oyster license. At this time, this is a limited time offer. We won't know if we have additional funds in the future. As I mentioned before, TPWD offered a fixed rate of $30,000 in previous rounds, particularly last year and last year only, with the exception, of course, of this round. The buyback period, again, will close on May 15th. And then bids will not be accepted if it's not postmarked by that date. There is one thing I'd like to mention. Most people know that back in December of last year, there were some postmark date changes implemented by the United States Postal Service. So I would suggest, to ensure a accurate postmark stamp, be sure to request what's called a manual round date stamp. Lastly, TPWD will notify applicants at the end of an application period via mail on where and when to sign their buyback contract and turn in their license and boat plates. So now we'll walk through the actual application. It's pretty self-explanatory. Part 1 asks for the applicant's personal information. So you'd simply list your name, your phone number, your mailing address, city, county, state, and zip code. Part 2 asks for the applicant's boat information, as well as their license doc number, which is, or the document number, which is the license number listed on your boat license. The last part of the application is the box where you accept the bid offer of $30,000. And we also ask that you please submit a copy of your oyster boat license that you are submitting for purchase. and a copy of your boat documentation with the application. Now I'm going to walk you through we're going to speak, yeah, I guess we can go through the Texas Identification Number form. This form is required for anyone to receive a payment from a state agency. Um, Basically, on item 1, where it asks if there is a new account, you would select yes. On item 2, please select your Social Security number. If you look down at item 3, this is where you would you basically if you would indicate, excuse me, if you're reporting any Texas tax to the comptroller. Obviously, if you are not, then you would select no. If you are, then you would select yes, and you have to give your Texas taxpayer number. On item 4, please enter your name. Individuals must be entered first name, first, middle initial, and then last name. On item 5, this is your mailing address. So this is where you'd want your payment to be received. Item 9 is your enter your city, state, and zip code of your mailing address. And then item 10, you'd simply enter your telephone number. Item 11, check the box next to the appropriate ownership code. So essentially, most individuals would choose uh, an individual. Um, However, if not, then you'd enter the additional information requested by the selected code. Check only one box in this section. And lastly, on the payment assignment, select no unless you're assigning payments to a third party. So in other words, if those payments are going to someone other than yourself. Item 13, please leave blank. And then item 14, please be sure to sign the application and enter the date signed, and then leave item 15 blank. If you have any issues with the Texas Identification Number form, please feel free to reach out to me via email or phone number. They're on the screen. I'll be happy to walk you through the form because I know at times it can be confusing. It does come with instructions. However, again, if you have any issues or any questions, feel free to reach out to me. As I mentioned in the beginning of the presentation, there will be 2 in-person information workshops. The first one will be held on Tuesday, April 7th in Lamarque, Texas at 6:30 p.m. at the Texas A&M Agrilife building at Carbide Park. And then we'll hold a second one on Thursday, April 9th in Port Lavaca, Texas, also at 6:30 at the Bauer exhibit building. And this concludes the webinar. And thanks for joining us and have a great evening.